Have you ever been building a kit while daydreaming about building another kit? That's how you get to Whip Wednesdays.
Whip Wednesday!
Ragtag Daydreams is sponsored by NewTypeHQ.com.
Welcome back to another Whip Wednesday, Daydreamer. And in today's episode, I am going to tackle something that I've wanted to do for a long time. That thing is get a proper ventilated airbrush booth. So this Whip Wednesday is a little bit different, and I hope you like it. I mean, it's not necessarily about a hobby tool per se. It's not necessarily about kits per se. It's not essentially like about paints per se. But it is about all of those things. But as I'm sure you probably know if you've seen my videos thus far, I like to kind of go cheap. I want to cut corners where I can. I want to make sure that I do more work in order to save myself some money. And maybe you do too, and that's why you're watching this. But basically what I found is that Amazon and a lot of other places around the $100 price point is where you're going to find a lot of these collapsible airbrush booths that just kind of come pre-assembled and they have a small fan on the back. On top of that price, a lot of times you're going to have to purchase a hose expansion kit in order to take it away from you and not just let the filter do its job. So if you're working with things like lacquers and stuff like that, first of all, an inline fan is not recommended, because if any of that vapor gets down to the fan, if there's an electrical charge as it starts up or as it's moving, it can ignite that. So basically what that means is that water-based paints are probably pretty fine with that. It will capture on the filter any of the moisture and pull the air through. And, you should probably still wear a mask, but it's better. I'm getting into more lacquer paints recently. I just really like them, and I find them more easy to use than I thought they would be. So I found, thanks to Not So Average Builder, Tom over there on his channel, if you haven't seen him, check his stuff out. It's great. Tom suggested a certain inline motor, and essentially the way that it worked is that the risk of spark was so low, and I mean so incredibly low, that it was probably okay. But again, he is not certified or any of that stuff. I'm not certified in anything to tell you any kind of absolutes and legal or whatever. Neither one of us are. But I'm going based on his recommendation because I understand his idea of relative safety, and I'm willing to take on that risk for myself. Okay, so I did purchase some corrugated plastic. Corrugated plastic, if you've ever seen a sign on somebody's lawn or something like that, that's made of corrugated plastic. And so I also got this really cool thing from Amazon here. I think it was about $10. The screw holes there and the input, that is where you put your leads to LED tape. With the ones where it's got the sticky back and then it has the leads hanging off of that. You can plug that right into there, secure them down with little screws, and then you can plug it right into the wall. 16 feet of aluminum dryer vent. And so the big deal there is it's 6 inches wide. So that's the opening for it. And I'm going to need that for, well, the motor, the inline motor that we have right here. So it's actually going to sit at the end of that tubing for me. It's just the way that I'm going to set everything up. And it'll be, pumping all of the air out and through that filter. It's a 12 by 12 filter, so that's what I'm going to base everything off of in order to have a capture area when this is all completed. We're going to be using some Gorilla Tape, some Gorilla Glue, Sharpie, X-Acto knife or hobby knife, because that's just what I have around, and some sandpaper. So I'm just using the filter as a template, or to make templates for all of my different sides and different things that I'm going to build this with, the shapes. So the reason I'm going to do that is that it says it's 12 by 12, but sometimes things are a little bit off. So taking it from that, even with the plastic on, if I overcut or anything like that, it'll still fit. Okay, the reason that the X is there and it has the negative space, that's actually going to be more of a cone that kind of comes down, and that's when I'm going to cut the hole in to adhere the tubing, the flexible tube, to the back. All right, so here I am actually folding the corners up where I didn't cut all the way through. By the way, guys, when I'm cutting this, or when I did cut this, when you're cutting through and you don't have one of the hook cutters that they sell for this product, more than likely it's going to leave one side, one of the flat sandwich sides intact. And if you cut through that one part and all the corrugation, or at least most of the corrugation through it, you can bend it and it'll break cleanly and then act as a hinge. So that's what I'm using to my benefit in order to fold some of these pieces around and get them to adhere into a kind of a funnel box for the basic design. I also wet down the portions that I have sanded right here in order to get the glue to stick. The Gorilla Glue is actually water reactive, so if you read on the bottle, it does say to moisten the area first. And of course, the coffee cup that I have there that I'm taking the water out of is on Teespring. Little product plug there. Get you one. And there's a lot of Gorilla Tape used on this build. It's really good, and it does stick pretty well to the surface of the corrugated plastic. There's not a lot of things that do, it seems like. Some of the adhesives that are on most of your industrial or even heat activated or heat cured vinyl kind of stuff, where they'll lay everything down, and then as soon as they apply heat, any bubbles or anything just suck to it, and they'll I don't know. Anyways, I've seen it done before with a heat gun. That's kind of stuff. Gorilla Tape, some brands of duct tape. I think 3M has a really good the Super Duty or Pro Strength or whatever 3M tape is supposed to be able to stick to this stuff, but it's really hard to find something that sticks to the corrugated plastic really well. So this Gorilla Tape seems to be doing a good job while I'm using it, and it was also recommended from the internet. Okay, so I'm just putting, of course, the hose, the tube there, to the back, taping it up in a lot of different ways, and also trying to tape up any of the seams that would allow the suction to go elsewhere than through the actual filter that I'm going to put in. Of course, if you're losing suction, or if you don't have enough to pull all of the air through the filter, or at least enough to pull your paint through the filter, then you're going to need to double check any cracks and stuff where, basically you got an air leak. And yeah, this fan that I've found, it appears to be for home horticulture. So, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So that's where I stopped. Now, not only was I in a full sweat by this point, just because it's nerve-wracking to try to build all this and put it all together and try to keep it together and not shift where I put the glue or any of that, but not to bend the hose either. It wasn't exactly cheap. No, it wasn't expensive, but it wasn't cheap. And I don't know. It was rough. So the wheel of LEDs, I've had that for so long, I've forgotten how much that's supposed to be. So prices may differ wildly, and I didn't even include that in what I considered this build to be. When it was all said and done, I personally spent $80 on this rig that, again, has the suction capacity of a small cabinet paint booth, with the size and convenience, because I don't have a lot of space to work with, of one of the portable paint booths. So I don't know, I just really think that it's a lot better. I got a better product out of it because I built it myself. I have tested it out with cornstarch, just kind of dusting around the area, and all of it went directly to, even some of the clumps went directly into the filter. So that tells me a aerated liquid, which would kind of float in the air and not want to drop straight down, will be sucked through that same filter, and I should be ready to go. The LED lights have been tested and they're working well. I'm sure you guys will be seeing that in future episodes whenever I start using it. But I didn't do anything special. I didn't actually cut them and then resolder leads or anything like that. I really just kind of made corners and went into a square kind of spiral kind of shape. We all need a very safe place to spray paint, if that's what you're gonna do. We really do. I don't use aerosol cans or anything else that has beyond just maybe a lacquer base more harmful propellants as far as flammability or just bad for your lungs. I don't use those things, so I'm not super concerned about having the inline fan and the fact that it's run on a magnet base instead of like a brush system where it could spark as the wheel passes over the brushes. You know, that just makes me feel a lot safer to use this. But again, I am not at all an expert. So I may run into trouble later with this, but based on everything I could find out, I should be just fine. So if this helps you, I hope that it does. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Hit the notification bell so you see more videos like this. Check out these videos up here. All the stuff that I always ask for, guys. Please take part in that and help the channel grow so I can get out to new people and they can see the things that I do. Till next time, Daydreamer, I'm Justin, your Ragtag Daydreamer, and I'll see you soon.